Hey, what's good guys, Austin here, and today I have a review of the Moto X Pure Edition. This year's Moto X is Motorola's third attempt at making a great smartphone, and they've come close before, but there was always something that fell short, like the camera or the battery life. Well, this year they did a little bit better, and I'm not saying that this is a perfect smartphone, but it is a perfect balance between power and price. Now before we get started, it is important to note that this is a $400 phone, so just keep that in mind for the rest of the video. So the Moto X Pure, or the style, if you're outside of the US, is pretty similar to last year's model. First off, you can still customize the phone using Moto Maker. I went with a pretty simple look with a white front silver frame and a bamboo back, and I got my name engraved on the back. If you opt for the wood or leather version, it will cost you about 25 bucks more. Overall, the design of the phone is pretty much the same as the second gen Moto X, except for the bigger size and slightly different camera module on the back. In terms of the size, it fits in between the older Moto X and the Nexus 6. The Nexus 6 was my breaking point in terms of a phone being too damn big, but even though the Pure Edition is only slightly smaller, it makes a big difference in my opinion. Even with the 5.7-inch screen, it's a pretty comfortable phone to hold thanks to the curved rear and famous Motorola dimple on the back. It's about the same size as an iPhone 6 Plus, but it has a bigger screen and it's easier to hold, although it is considerably thicker. Luckily, because of that thickness, I guess, they were able to fit in more stuff because this phone has a micro SD card slot on the top, allowing you to expand your storage significantly. Now, it doesn't have a removable battery, but this is still a huge plus. On the front, there's a 5-megapixel camera with a wide-angle lens that actually has an LED flash right next to it, in case you need to take a selfie in the dark, I guess. I don't recommend using it. There's also a pair of front-facing speakers, which are really awesome. I'll say this in every video. Every phone should include front-facing speakers. They don't even have to be good, just point them towards me and I'll be happy. And then of course, it wouldn't be a Moto X if it didn't have the array of infrared sensors on the front that detect your movement and allow you to use Moto Display. The screen itself is again 5.7 inches, but this time Motorola stepped it up to a 2560 by 1440 display with a pixel density of around 551. It goes without saying that it's really sharp, but it also gets really bright. The whites are really crispy and you won't have a problem using this phone outdoors. Now, Motorola switched it up this year and threw in an IPS panel instead of an AMOLED panel like they did last year. It's not a deal breaker by any means, but I'm not a huge fan of this change. The phone uses active display. Now, this is one of my favorite features on Motorola phones. You can just wave your hand over the phone and it'll show you important notifications and let you interact with them without turning on your screen. It's an awesome feature. The only thing is, since the phone doesn't have an AMOLED display anymore, that means you're not getting as deep blacks as you would before, and you can sometimes notice that when the backlight is on because the screen won't go fully black. Otherwise, I do like the screen. It's sharp and bright, and it's really awesome for watching content on, especially due to those front-facing speakers I mentioned. Now, the speakers aren't quite the best, but they're still really good. It's definitely better than anything else you find in the sub $400 category. Moving on, let's talk about the software. This is where the Pure Edition really shines in my opinion. Now, it's not the fastest phone out there. It doesn't have 4 gigs of RAM or the fastest processor like some other phones, but the software experience is probably the best you can find on an Android phone right now. Motorola is really good at enhancing pure Android and not just throwing a skin on top of it. Like every other Moto phone, it has a few key features like active display that we've already talked about. Probably the only one that I use though is twisting the phone to launch the camera or shaking it to turn on the flashlight. Although I will admit there have been a decent amount of instances where the flashlight just turned on by itself, but you can disable this if it bothers you. Otherwise, the software experience is basically stock Android. They only included a couple of Moto apps, but they're actually helpful, like Moto Assist, which automatically silences the phone during meetings. Other than that, there is no bloat on the phone whatsoever. Now let's move on to one of the areas that wasn't quite the selling point for last year's model, the camera. It's not bad. The Moto X has a 21 megapixel camera on the back that can also capture video in 4K. The camera has an f2.0 aperture and it actually takes pretty decent photos. Now yes, there was already a pretty low bar set for improvement, but I'm actually pretty impressed with how the camera performs. You're not going to get the same type of quality as you would get from an iPhone or a G4 or a Galaxy phone, but it's not terrible, and that's all they pretty much needed to do. Low light isn't that great, but I didn't expect much to happen in that category, and the phone is only $400, so I'll give it a pass. One thing that I won't give a pass though is the software. I get that they wanted to make it simple, but it's just not good. The Moto Camera app is meant to take pictures really quickly, and it does. But I'm not a fan of the whole tap anywhere on the screen to take a picture. I'm used to tapping on the screen where I want it to focus and then pressing a shutter button. You can move around a little focus circle and it'll have the camera focus on that area, but next time, just put in an actual tap to focus mode. It'll make everyone's life easier. Now the last thing that I want to talk about is battery life. Like most things on the phone, it's not amazing, but it's definitely passable. During my testing, the 3000 milliamp hour battery usually lasted me all day. By the end of the day, I usually had around 10 to 15% left, and that's after about a 10 or 12 hour day. I probably got around 4 to 4.5 hours of screen on time, so it definitely isn't bad. It doesn't have wireless charging, which might be a disappointment to some, but I'd take quick charging over wireless charging any day of the week. The included turbocharger can get me from 0 to 100 in about an hour, which is really awesome.
We go 0 to 100 real quick.
Overall, the Moto X is a really great phone. It's the best phone that Motorola currently makes right now, and even though it's not as high-end or doesn't feel as premium as other phones, it's still a really good phone. The only thing that I wish they included that they didn't is a fingerprint scanner, but again, for $400, you're not going to find a better phone. Now, for those curious, that new intro and some of the graphics in this video were provided to me courtesy of Video Blocks. They specialize in stock footage, motion backgrounds, and After Effects templates. They also just launched a marketplace where you can submit and sell stock footage and get 100% of the profit. So if you guys want to check it out for free for 7 days, just hit that link down in the description. So guys, that is my review of the Moto X Pure Edition. I think it's the best mid-range phone you can buy right now. If you guys have any questions, be sure to leave that in the comment, or be sure to hit me up on Twitter or any of my social media. You'll probably get a quicker response to me on there. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in my next video.